Okay. So, I mean, I'll start with this thing where we were just discussing about, and I'd like to know more about, like what each of us have faced something like this. So, I was starting with something like knitting sweater, where my mother used to make sweaters at home. And at that time, there was this of a taboo in the sense that I was not allowed to even buy anything from the shops. So for me, that type of practice where you can just go and buy a sweater from a store, it was a taboo at my house. So I think I didn't wear a ready-made sweater till I was around 13 or 14. Yeah, but I don't have any issues with that. But
Right.
it's just that I know that there is some practices which started just at my own home only, and without any I don't know like whether somebody told this or not, but it became a thing at my place.
Yes, of course, crafts. I'm still opening up to the idea that anything can be crafts. So I think this was one of the attempt towards that direction. Behavioral research or research in general. I mean, the kind I do. I mean, design research or whatever we want to call it. Um, involves a lot of going to new people, new communities, and sort of staying there for a couple of days or something like that. A lot of times I feel like as a researcher you are supposed to, and more so if you're a girl, you're supposed to completely change how you are in your regular life, and you're supposed to go there and just sort of be a completely different person, you know. So in fact, one of my mentors also once I think told me that make a choti and look like a Radha or something and just go. You know, the idea was like just look kempt, and of course our what we look like is maybe not the standard chem. So I was so yeah, I mean, you're supposed to completely change who you are and go and research, and I think it's problematic taboo. I mean, I have put things which are just taboo, you know, maybe not yeah, Radha Kutyo, maybe not
That's very interesting
not something which is problematic.
because we can if I be a little critical about this, then we can
Mm.
say that even the empathy building exercises that most of the design schools and
Ha ha
know that the propagated way of building empathy is to be the
ha.
place that you are in. It
हाँ सबसे पहले तो you have to be who you are to understand who they are, right? And we are taught that you just have to be, you have to look like them or something, you know. You can't look like them. How do they look? I mean, it's I think very problematic, honestly speaking.
it is.
Also,
Of course, it applies to one gender more than the other. That is
हाँ मतलब ज्यादा मन भी तो करता है policing करने का ना, to a couple of genders, more than one gender actually. But I think what is more weird is that a lot of instances have happened, but one thing stayed with me in a village in Kutch. This one girl told me ke, your eyes are white, our eyes are yellow. I said, what? That didn't make sense to me at all. And she said, no, anyone who comes from the city, their eyes are more white than ours. And I'm just like, "Okay, वो कैसे छुपाओगे?" So that sort of gets me into okay, what are these taboos with research, you know, that you have to look like them or be like them. You can just be yourself. They would rather, I mean, any community would rather prefer you if you're open and honest. I feel.
right.
Uh, no, for me, it's like interesting that if you take research as a craft, then it also requires a relook in how they approach, I guess, where I think a researcher's identity has to be taken care of also.
Research methodologies of the future. कितनी
Yeah.
True, that's true. I
research
think it needs to be worked that again. Archive thinking है थोड़ी.
stakeholder.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I would like, I think Rasagya is writing this, so I just want to have, because I think I also have such issues at my home. So Rasagya, if you want, please.
Yeah, I just basically trying to cook up everything that I could think of and remember. So yeah, everything from don't enter kitchen barefooted, or eating in kitchen vessels that food is cooked in should not be used to eat, which is exactly what you were doing during pandemic.
Mhm.
And then खाना खत्म नहीं होता जब तक मीठा ना हो, तो you must have some sweet thing at the end. And I think the horror when I first told my parents about having a burrito and this whole idea of
Hmm.
mixing rice with roti.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like very weird to tell someone, like someone coming up to me and telling me to cut my hair just because I'm comfortable with long hair, or keeping a hair bun. And it was just weird. And I don't know how it's not accepted at, at many places. And at the same time, to even speak about the uh, profound experiences or certain, I don't know, intellectual things to elders is like, you like, it's not appreciated. And it's like I'm always suppressed or about it, to not to speak about it, or just to keep it to myself. So it's kind of like weird and strange for me. And I just encountered like 3 or 4 days back. So yeah. And so it was in like it was in Saurashtra, in parts of Gujarat, so the southwest part of Gujarat, where I went after 5 years, after all my design courses and after all my transformation. And it was totally different experience, that how the local methods and local practices are are there, and with how it differs from the urban sphere. So yeah, I'm just, yeah, some fresh experiences.
This is very interesting. If a member of a community goes away for a while, and obvious transformations like you are mentioning, I think these are transformations that every student after having an education goes through. You do get understanding of the world better. You like, I also relate to this one, that up until a point of time I wasn't allowed to speak in family matters, even like pertaining with, and some matters with which I had a little experience. And this was very recent, and like I had to change that narrative like quite forcefully in my family as well. And I think that is one grain that we are not allowed to go against, the elder grain. I think it is there a little culturally ingrained. I can relate to that.
Yeah, I thought the previous conversation you could put it under outcome, as learning stops with formal education being something that's a taboo.
Right.
And that could be a good place to keep it.
But I mean, not like like I don't want to negate that. I want to ask this, like, do you have a preference for that? Like, I understand it is an outcome also, right? You are writing it as an outcome. So, do you prefer to have a space where learning stops with formal education?
Yeah, I would want to add one more thing. Teaching without industry experience. Teaching,
Hmm.
I want to do the reverse of this. I don't know how to frame it. I'll just do it. Right? Like, it shouldn't be a practice. You should be allowed to teach. So, how do you say it?
Okay. Wow. This is a very conflicting one. Okay. I think you started with this one.
Mm, Teaching.
You know that old adage, na? Which I'm sure people remind you of: those who can't do teach, and those who can't teach, they teach gym.
Oh. Okay.
And never heard the second part.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I had never heard the second gym part, so that was news.
Maybe it's like added over the years. I've added a, sorry, there's a lot of commotion in my house, but I've added a reference. It was shared by my husband Agar, by a book by Fred Moten and another gentleman, I can't remember his name, about undercommons. It talks about a place of study, and how the kind of undercurrents of studying within the institution, as Dhruv was saying, that perhaps not to be so against institutional education as such, are sort of um, spaces in themselves where
We
things are happening.
aspire.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think not so much actionable, and I see where Ambika was putting it as like a solution oriented. What where I was going for was building a narrative. So making it in a more storytellable format than like a bullet list of things. So that's where, not that it should be practical or applicable, or we should come up with a 5-year plan for these, But just knowing that, okay, what could be a single thread narrative which can stitch them together and possibly help in narrating it to a person than showing a mirror board.
Right, right.